We're with Robin DeJesus, who is now doing his new club act at 54 Below. Robin, what is this club act about?
This club act is basically it's really a show about growth. I turned 30 this year, or this past year, and 29 was a doozy. It was one of those things where like you see this big round number approaching, and you sort of feel like there's certain goals you have to have met by that point, or things you should have accomplished, and then you turn 30 and you're like, oh wait, I'm not the only one who doesn't have it together, and it just sort of got me thinking. And in life, there's always like these little lessons that you're trying to learn, or bad habits picked up along the way that you're cleansing yourself of. But I also found it funny that a lot of these so-called problems that I have, or that I was acknowledging as I was turning 30, really weren't that big. They were just silly. And we live in this world now, especially like as a first world country. I don't think that term is actually real anymore, but so many of the things we complain about are so superficial. Yeah, they're things. You know, I feel like we pray to Santa more than we pray to God. There's Louis C.K. has this hilarious thing about people who complain about like not having phone reception, and he's like, you got to give it a second. The signal's going to space, and then it's coming back. Like, just take a minute to acknowledge this cell phone that you're constantly complaining about. Think about the amazing thing it's doing right now, and how not that long ago it didn't even exist. My father grew up shoeless in the mountains of Puerto Rico. Like, his school it was a dirt floor. Like, for fun, they would put like firecrackers inside cigarettes and have their friendly, like they did, like the things that they did were so ridiculous. And I look at my life now, and I realize that it's not that deep.
Now, how old were you when you first started on Broadway?
My first Broadway show, I was 21, and that was
that Lacage?
It was Rent. I replaced the 10th year that it was on Broadway, and I remember going into the show, and my friend said to me, Robin, you're on Broadway at a really early age and you're making great money, so make sure you put money away, put it into your 401k, and if you can, buy a home. And I created this goal that before I was 25, I was gonna buy a home. And as I got closer and closer to 25, this goal was like looming over me. And then at one point I could have bought a home, but it wasn't the home that I wanted. And I'm gonna buy this home because I created this stupid goal, and what if I buy it and I hate this house? And then I realized, like, how ridiculous is that? Like, and I also thought, why are you trying to buy a home now? Because there were other things that came up. The home wasn't really that important at that time for me. I think now I would like to buy a home, and now it makes me.
So you still haven't bought a home?
I still haven't gotten my home, no. But I created that demon. I created the goal, and I was mad that I couldn't meet it. So if I created it, I had the power to get rid of it.
Absolutely.
So that was great to learn. And you know what's another random thing I learned? My friend sent me a quote the other day. I find that a lot of my issues happen when I'm not being creative. And Elizabeth Gilbert, who's one of my favorite authors, was quoted as saying, if I'm not being creative, then I'm probably destroying something. And I think that might be the motto for my 30s.
So you're into creative visualization.
I do love to manifest and think positively, and totally, and sometimes to a fault. You know, sometimes it's like it's so laser beam focused that it becomes a burden or a demon, and so I need to figure out how to create goals but still enjoy the process getting there.
Now, most people would think that you have succeeded, considering you've done. How many Broadway shows have you done at this point?
Yeah, I'm on my fourth one now. I'm on my fourth Broadway show now. But what's funny is I always find that when I look at my friends' lives and my life, there's always one aspect of our lives that's great. But then there are other ones, the other parts of life, whether it's your love life, your family, or whatever. Career-wise, I have a great career. I'm really, really fortunate. I do think there's a certain kind of work and a quality of work that I want for me. I find that I'm happiest when I feel like the show I'm doing serves in a positive way. Like, with Heights, there were days where I was tired, it was difficult, but that show felt so important to me and so merited. Like, it deserved to be where it was, and so I wanted to honor that. And sometimes when you do a show and it's fluff, it's so much harder to do. Unless unless you're at a, I will say this, there is also the perspective of like when you're doing a show that's fluffy, that people need that sometimes too. There is room for that as well.
We need to get out of ourselves.
Totally. So I find that when I'm having a rough time with a show that I feel like doesn't necessarily have a lot of meat to it, I just remind myself that like it's someone's birthday today and they probably brought them, or it's someone's anniversary, like, or someone probably just had a rough day and they need this experience right now. And so I try to change my perspective as much as possible, but it's definitely easier when there's a little meat.
And what's the next thing that we can see you performing in?
Well, I'm in Wicked on Broadway right now, doing the hashtag The Struggle Is Real here at 54 Below on May 4th. And then I shot a movie in November called Holyoke.
Oh, nice.
That will hopefully, I don't know if and when that'll come out. I'm on Law and Order at some point in the next couple of months. I've had a random role that I do like a scene each season for like the past 4 seasons.
Nice.
So look out for Law and Order SVU as well.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, thank you.